Hey everybody, it's Roberto. You guys already know who I am, but I have a special guest today for some story time. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are?
Hey guys, I'm Gini Can Breathe. I'm a Snapchat influencer and a YouTuber. And basically, I am here in New York today. I'm actually German, Russian, Dominican, but I'm visiting New York and I'm doing a little bit of an interesting art project.
You guys know how much I love interesting projects. So before we get into the project itself, why don't you give the audience just a little bit more context on who Gini Can Breathe is, a little bit about your story, how you became a Snapchat influencer, and what you've been up to lately.
Okay, awesome. Well, I suppose I'm a little bit of a social activist. You might have seen one of the videos that I did. It's called Standing for Self-Love, where I went to Union Square, I stripped down to my underwear, and I had strangers draw hearts on my body in support of self-acceptance and self-love. And so from that place of trying to bring strangers closer together and doing these social experiments, I started my YouTube channel. I have different videos on there about it, and
which I love those videos. Like, they're so refreshingly different and honest, and then you're like actually a really good, legit filmmaker, like in your own right. I'm gonna link up the channel here and you guys can see for yourself, judge for yourself, but like the content is so vulnerable and genuine and so different, but it's also very well shot and very well edited. But you know what? Well polished, edited content on YouTube sometimes gets a bad rap because people don't think it's authentic enough. So like that, I think that's a lot of why you did Snapchat, is you want people to know that this isn't a fake social experiment. It's not like some of the fake pranks that have been exposed or anything. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I've been doing a lot of kindness projects like hugging strangers, etc. And I felt like a lot of people didn't feel like it was genuine, like that was the person that I was. So I'm like, what would it be like if I could take you on my entire day, 24 hours from when I wake up till I go to bed, and just see this is how I interact with people, and that kindness is a possibility and it still is alive very much in society. And I love doing that. And in the past 1.5 years, I've grown my channel. I'm one of the kind of first homegrown Snapchat influencers.
Right on.
That have thousands of followers, and it's amazing. I really love it. I mean, thank you for what you said about the editing, by the way. So I'm a homegrown, self-made filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, just like me. It's like I did everything myself.
Yeah, me too. So I've been on YouTube for 11 years. I used to...
Old tube.
Yeah, old tube. I used to edit on my Sony bio on Windows Movie Maker, really kind of...
I remember the Sony bios before like that line got scrapped. And I remember what the old school Windows Movie Maker was like, so I know the struggle. Like, I know what that's like.
Yeah, and then progressing from there on to having a Mac and then iMovie and then Final Cut, it's a big journey. Like, I'm still like YouTubing things like where I'm like, oh, how would I do that? And so there's a lot of tutorial hours for that.
No, absolutely. That's what my channel's for. Yeah, no, so I totally dig that. I'm very into that. There's some very cool projects that you're doing. In fact, one of the ways we met was a project you did with my friend Jared Kleinert, shot by my friend Jason Liebman, for the 3 Billion Under 30. So I'm gonna link that up. Also, I'm gonna be linking up more footage and stuff from some of your other social experiments and videos here on YouTube. But the cool thing about what you're doing is that it brings people together. And we have this interesting age and time right now where, one, not only is that so necessary, because it's always been necessary, guys. You know that I've had my own struggles with depression, self-acceptance, even feeling okay with my appearance, being a TCK, all those things. Like, there's a lot that people struggle with internally. There's a lot of external factors in people really just being honest with themselves and being able to really love themselves, who they are. And I think that the work you're doing with this is so amazing. I think that definitely needs a bigger audience. And I love that if you guys think growing on YouTube is hard, growing organically on Snapchat, where you don't have search, which is my bread and butter, where like stuff isn't natively shared with other people, like it's hard to grow on Snapchat. You think YouTube is hard?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I've been named by Inc. magazine as one of the top 5 Snapchat influencers in business, and so.
And you're going to Snap Happen where you're going to be speaking, right?
Yeah, I'm hosting the world's first Snapchat Awards in London, so I'll be the host of the Ghosties, which is pretty exciting. We have that now, guys. Snapchat Awards.
Nice.
And that's also kind of this project, and all the things that I do are very much enabled by my social following. Everyone is participating in what I'm doing. You know, that's kind of also how you saw that I was here as well. Like, you were able to follow on Snapchat where I am and things like that, which is amazing. Friends who you guys just saw who was here saw my story on Snapchat and then came here. And yeah, let's maybe talk a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so let's talk about what you're doing with this, what was a blank book, and how you turned a blank book into a way to bring New Yorkers together.
Yeah. So I found this book in my friend's house. She was about to throw it away, and it's just this beautiful, like, completely blank book, right? And I saw art in this. I just saw an opportunity to create something beautiful. So I didn't know what that would be yet. I just kind of had it in my luggage, and this morning I woke up, and as I was laying in bed, I had this idea to create a collaborative book of New York, so of entire New York, writing a story together, right? So I started the first line in the book, where I actually also made a grammatical error. So it's once upon a time on a Sunday.
Grammar Nazis, please forgive us.
Once upon a time on a Sunday sunny afternoon in New York City, and then so I just went up to strangers and what I said to them was, I mean, it changed from the beginning then to the end, because I learned how to interact with them, because most New Yorkers are very, like, afraid when you speak to them. They think I was collecting for something. They didn't think that this was like a genuine, anything that they would want.
Yeah, there's like, what's the gimmick? What's the scam? How much money do you want?
Exactly. Yeah, that was what it was. So first I was like, hi, like, do you have a minute? And so a lot of people were like, no. And it was interesting. But here are all the different people already that have written and continued an entire storyline together. And here we have the name of the authors, their age, and where they were born at the end. And yeah, later my kind of tagline was, I went to people and I said, hey, have you ever written a book before? And, you know, they were like, no. And I was like, well, would you like to be one of my co-authors?
See, there's a lesson in that in terms of interaction. A lot of you in social media, a lot of you here in the YouTube space, you know, people have this tendency to lead with what they want instead of creating either an interesting conversation or something up front for the other person that is advantageous or a prospect, or at least entertaining or interesting to them. Like, oh, how can I get more followers in Snapchat? How can I get more subscribers in YouTube? How can I get people to follow me on Twitter? It's like, what are you giving them an opportunity to do by interacting with you and engaging with you? You were giving people an opportunity for the first time to be in a book.
Yes.
That's the difference. That's huge. It's like, you know, people ask me, Roberto, how can I collab with you? It's like, how about becoming my friend?
Yes. It's true. And for me as well, I mean, like, I do sales, I do marketing, I have my own Snapchat consulting company. You know, I have to know business.
Linking it up.
Gini can breathe. But this is the interesting thing, that when you're doing something so raw, where you're literally in a park, you're with strangers, you know, you can't even be on the phone, you don't have like any of that obscurity, you're not at the other side of a computer, you're actually face to face. So this is like actually creating leads, you know, or like marketing, salesing, like one-on-one.
Old school, like in the real world, like hugs and handshakes. It's
exactly, knocking on doors, you know, and selling vacuum cleaners.
The real hustle.
Exactly, and so with this, it was getting them to be a co-author in the book, and it's all about positioning. So if I say, hey, do you have some time? That's such a different story than me going to you and say, hey, have you ever been in a book before? Would you like to be one of my co-authors? That's exactly what you're saying. I'm changing it from taking something from you to actually giving you value. But I was giving you value the whole time. It's just depending on...
It's how you positioned it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like we're on the same wavelength there, and there's a reason for it. It's like, you're a successful Snapchat influencer. You, despite whatever the numbers say, in my opinion, are a successful YouTuber because you make content that doesn't suck. Which people don't realize, that's the measuring stick of anything you do. It's not the vanity metrics, it's not your followers in Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even though we have really impressive numbers there.
So what was interesting about this is, every time that I approached a new person, I literally had like butterflies in my stomach because it was a risk because a lot of people said no. It was 50-50. 50% of the people said no, 50% of the people said yes.
Right.
And so in the beginning, the way I approached people was I said, hi, can I ask you a question? Or hi, do you have a moment? And I just looked, like someone asking for something.
Most of them shot you down. They're like, what's the gimmick? Like cynical New Yorker stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And then I would explain, I would be like, well, I'm writing a book, I'm doing a collaborative story of everyone in New York together. And then when they heard that, they were kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I would love to.
But it was taking too long to get to that, so you started to lead with that instead.
Exactly, and then so I changed my approach because I thought I'm not actually giving any value. Because once people started writing, I'm like, this is such an incredible experience for them. They were so excited, they were so into the story. They just
they've never been in a book before. So
exactly, yeah. They started really relating, to the characters and everything. And